Chosen one. Pause for a moment. Yes, right now, you can feel it. Can't you? The air around you has shifted. Something unseen is leaning toward you. Heaven itself has turned its gaze in your direction. The whisper of the Spirit moves through the room where you sit, through the quiet place where you scroll or breathe or think, and it calls your name. You are not hidden. You are not forgotten. This week, a powerful eye is fixed on you. The eyes of heaven do not wander. They do not blink. They see through the masks you've worn, through the fatigue you've carried, through the disappointment that has tried to bury your hope. And still, heaven chooses you. You are being seen not for condemnation, but for confirmation. Every unseen act of kindness, every silent prayer you whispered when no one was listening, every tear that fell in the dark, heaven has witnessed it all. There is something sacred about being seen by God. It's both comforting and confronting. Comforting, because you are known completely. Confronting, because that same gaze pierces through the layers you've built to survive. You can't hide from it. And deep down, you don't want to. The divine eye doesn't come to shame you. It comes to awaken you. You are stepping into a week where revelation and attention will follow you. Things that seemed delayed will begin to stir. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 33, verse 18. But the eyes of the Lord are on those who fear him, who hope in his love. You, chosen one, are under that unfailing love. It is not a spotlight of judgment, but a beam of destiny. Heaven's gaze does not expose you to destroy you. It exposes you to deliver you. It uncovers the hidden seeds within you that are ready to bloom. This week will not be ordinary. Expect interruptions that feel divine, encounters that feel appointed, and moments that carry the unmistakable weight of purpose. The world around you may move as usual, but you are walking in divine awareness now. Every step you take is watched over. Every sigh, every hesitation, every act of obedience, it all matters. There are no random events when heaven's eye is fixed upon you. Even delays are directions in disguise. Even silence is strategy. The same God who watched over Joseph in the pit and Daniel in the lion's den is watching over you in your quiet battles. Some of what you're feeling right now isn't anxiety, it's activation. Heaven's focus is intense, and you can sense it. It makes you restless. But that restlessness is holy. It's the Spirit stirring your spirit to rise again, to believe again, to speak again. For too long, you've questioned whether God still sees you, whether your prayers still matter. But this week, signs will appear that confirm the truth. You were never out of his sight. Don't mistake divine delay for divine neglect. Sometimes God pauses the scene just long enough for your heart to catch up with his will. The eye of God never closes. It waits until you're ready to see what he's been seeing all along. There is something inside you that he refuses to let die. You are not just being observed, you are being prepared. Chosen one. If you are reading these words, it is not coincidence. This is divine timing. Heaven has orchestrated this very moment to remind you that you are not forgotten. There's a reason your spirit feels alert right now. You're being summoned into alignment, into awareness, into purpose. You've prayed for a sign. This is it. Heaven has fixed its gaze upon you for a reason. So stand tall. Lift your chin. Wipe the dust from your faith. The same God who spoke galaxies into motion is mindful of your next breath. The same one who commanded the seas sees your small acts of obedience. Nothing escapes his notice. You are the object of his focus and the vessel of his purpose. Before you step into the rest of your day, breathe deeply. Whisper, "I am seen," because you are. Let this awareness change how you move, how you speak, how you believe. When heaven looks at you, it sees potential wrapped in grace, pain turning into power, and fear dissolving into faith. This is your awakening week, your moment to stand in the light without shame. If this message resonates deep within your spirit, if you can feel that sacred stirring, then act as a prophetic witness to it. Like, share, and subscribe so this word reaches every other chosen one who needs to remember that heaven still sees them. And as a sign of agreement, type the number 777 inches, the comments below. That number marks spiritual alignment, completion, perfection, and divine awareness. Let it be your declaration that this week you are walking under the open eye of heaven. The week unfolds quietly, yet something feels different. You wake up sensing a deeper awareness, as though invisible hands are rearranging the moments of your days. Chosen one. This is the week of revelation. The atmosphere around you carries an invisible electricity, heaven preparing to unveil what was hidden. You can almost feel the gaze of God following you into every decision, every pause, every sigh. It is not the gaze of control, it is the gaze of divine orchestration. There are things in your life that seemed motionless, dreams that appeared forgotten, prayers that went unanswered, relationships that felt suspended. But revelation does not shout, it whispers. And this week, the whisper of heaven is louder than the noise of the world. You will begin to notice connections that didn't make sense before. People will speak words that unknowingly confirm things you've only prayed about. Places that once felt ordinary will suddenly feel sacred. Revelation is never about information, it's about transformation. God reveals not to entertain curiosity, but to redirect destiny. What is being unveiled to you now has everything to do with your next chapter. You've been asking for clarity, and heaven is responding not all at once, but piece by piece, like sunlight breaking through morning fog. Some answers will come in conversation, others in silence. A few will arrive in the middle of the night when you least expect them. You've walked through seasons of silence that felt unbearable. Heaven seemed quiet, and the lack of response made you question your worth. But silence was never absence, it was incubation. God hides his revelations in stillness so that they can mature without interference. This week, those hidden truths begin to emerge. The same spirit that hovered over the waters in Genesis is hovering over the chaos of your thoughts, preparing to say, "Let there be light." As you move through these days, don't rush. The revelation you are about to receive requires stillness. Be attentive to what repeats itself: a name, a number, a phrase, a sudden memory. Heaven communicates through patterns, and those patterns are not coincidence. Every repetition is a reminder that the eye of God is upon you and that the script of your life is unfolding with precision. There will also be confrontations. Revelation always brings exposure. Hidden motives, both in yourself and in others, may surface. What was once comfortable might start to feel uneasy. This is divine shaking, not punishment. The light of revelation dislodges anything that no longer serves your calling. Allow it. Release your grip on what you've outgrown. You are stepping into a higher dimension of clarity, and that requires empty hands. In this moment, the Spirit calls you to trust the process. You may not understand every sign yet, but faith walks before understanding. Revelation never comes to those who demand control. It comes to those who surrender, and your surrender is being watched with holy pride. Heaven delights in the soul that releases its demand to see everything at once. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Daniel, chapter 2, verse 22, he reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness, and light dwells with him. That single sentence carries the essence of this week. God is not revealing for your entertainment, but for your empowerment. He's showing you the hidden structure beneath the confusion, the truth behind what once seemed unfair. You'll begin to recognize why certain doors were shut and why some connections faded. The patterns of delay and disruption will start to make sense. You'll realize that what felt like rejection was actually redirection. Do not rush to act on everything that is revealed. Some revelations are meant to be kept in your spirit until their appointed time. Joseph saw visions of his destiny long before Egypt's palace could understand them. Likewise, what God is showing you now is meant to prepare you, not to be paraded before those who cannot yet perceive it. Guard what you receive this week with humility and gratitude. There will be moments when revelation feels overwhelming, when you see too much, feel too deeply, know more than you ask to know. In those moments, breathe. Remember, you are not carrying this light alone. The same eye that reveals also protects. Revelation without protection is exposure. But heaven never leaves you uncovered. You might find yourself drawn to solitude more than usual. That's because revelation thrives in stillness. Don't confuse isolation with abandonment. The two are not the same. Heaven sometimes closes every other voice, so you can finally hear the one that truly matters. When divine insight begins to stir, distractions lose their flavor. What once entertained you will start to feel hollow. Don't resist this shift. It's a sacred sign that you're awakening. The more heaven reveals, the more you begin to feel the weight of being seen. It's a strange kind of gravity, soft but unshakable. You walk into rooms and sense that every thought, every motive, every hesitation is noticed. Not by people, but by something far greater. The divine gaze does not merely watch your actions, it searches your intentions. It pierces through layers of performance until only authenticity remains. Chosen one. This is the sacred tension of being known by God. You've asked to be used, to be anointed, to be chosen, but divine visibility comes with divine responsibility. To be seen by heaven is to be refined by it. Every unspoken fear, every buried insecurity, every hidden desire begins to rise to the surface. The eye upon you is not seeking to condemn, but to cleanse. This is why you've been feeling uneasy lately. It's not punishment, it's purification. The light of divine awareness reveals not only what is around you, but what is within you. When you pray, heaven listens not only to your words, but to your motives. When you act, it sees the silent reasoning behind your actions. This is why honesty with yourself is no longer optional. It is sacred necessity. There is no room for pretending when you live under divine attention. It may feel overwhelming, but this kind of exposure is love in its highest form. God cannot heal what you continue to hide. He cannot elevate what you still mask. The gaze of heaven draws you into truth not to embarrass you, but to free you. The moment you stop hiding is the moment freedom begins. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Hebrews, chapter 4, verse 13, "Nothing in all creation is hidden from God's sight. Everything is uncovered and laid bare before the eyes of him to whom we must give account." Those words are not meant to terrify you, but to teach you. You do not need to pretend anymore. You can rest in the fact that you are fully known and still fully loved. The weight you feel is not condemnation, it's the holy pressure of destiny, pushing you to shed what no longer belongs to your future. This awareness will change how you live. You will speak with more care, love with more depth, forgive with more ease. The gaze of God will start to shape your behavior, not through fear, but through reverence. When you know you're seen, you stop chasing empty validation. You start walking with quiet confidence, knowing your worth is secured in divine sight. But the more light you carry, the more darkness notices. The enemy will try to twist this feeling of being seen into anxiety. He'll whisper, "You're under scrutiny," when in truth, you're under protection. Don't believe the lie that divine observation means divine disapproval. The same gaze that searches you also shields you. So, when you feel exposed this week, when your heart feels transparent, your emotions raw, your spirit vulnerable, remember that exposure in God's light is healing, not humiliation. Every time He reveals something inside you, it's an invitation to freedom. You are not losing control, you are gaining clarity. Chosen one, you are being prepared for deeper realms of authority. But heaven will not place public crowns on private compromise. This is why the eye of heaven moves so closely over you right now, to ensure your foundation can carry the weight of your calling. Integrity is not optional for those who are seen. Do not despise this holy scrutiny. The one who watches over you does so because he is deeply invested in your destiny. You are not just another believer, you are a carrier of something eternal, and that requires refinement. Take this moment, wherever you are, to acknowledge that you are seen, known, and loved. Let that awareness humble you, not harden you. Every breath you take this week is a silent conversation between you and heaven. Every thought is noticed, every act of kindness recorded, every step ordered. And now, I ask you to pause and take a small but powerful action of agreement. Comment these words below. I am ready. And those 3 words are not for me, they are for heaven to witness. It is your verbal agreement with divine sight. By typing them, you declare that you are ready to be seen without fear, ready to walk in transparency, ready to carry the mantle of accountability. It is a prophetic act of surrender that marks the beginning of your next level. Chosen one, this is your refining moment. Let it cleanse you. Let it change how you see yourself. For the eye of heaven does not watch to destroy, it watches to deliver, to shape, to strengthen. You are not under judgment. You are under transformation. The days pass, and revelation continues to carve its way through the fog around you. But with revelation comes confrontation. Heaven's light does not simply reveal beauty, it also exposes the battles you didn't know were shaping your soul. Chosen one, this is the moment where hidden wars meet divine exposure. You are beginning to see what was working against you behind the curtain. The unseen has become seen. When God shines His light, Nothing can remain disguised. What was whispering behind your back is silenced. What was feeding on your exhaustion is uncovered. It is as though every corner of your life is suddenly illuminated, and you can no longer pretend not to notice what is wrong. The patterns you once tolerated are now intolerable. The distractions that once entertained you now drain you. Heaven is not allowing you to live half awake anymore. This kind of exposure can feel uncomfortable. You may even wish the light would dim again, that things could return to the way they were before you knew too much. But there is no going back to blindness once sight has been given. The light that exposes is also the light that heals. And this is the paradox of divine attention. It shows you the shadows not to shame you, but to deliver you from them. Hidden battles thrive in secrecy. They feed on your silence and grow in your fatigue. The enemy's most effective weapon has never been violence. It has always been invisibility. But heaven's gaze refuses to let you fight an unseen war any longer. It is pulling every dark thing into the open, every deception into daylight. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 13 declares with power, "But everything exposed by the light becomes visible, and everything that is illuminated becomes a light." Now, do you feel the shift in that verse? It doesn't just say that darkness becomes visible, it says it becomes light. The very thing that once oppressed you becomes part of your testimony. What was meant to break you becomes your beacon. Heaven transforms exposure into empowerment. You are being refined into transparency so that your story can become illumination for someone else. As the light presses deeper, it may reach places inside you that you thought were already healed. Old memories resurface. Buri, anger, stiers. Forgotten disappointments knock again at the door of your mind. Don't resist them. This is not regression, this is resurrection. God brings them to the surface, not to reopen wounds, but to extract what still poisons your peace. He is detoxing your spirit, drawing out residue that cannot coexist with the level of purpose you are walking into. It's important to remember that divine light is both gentle and relentless. It does not rush, but it does not retreat either. Once it begins, it continues until completion. So if your life feels unsettled right now, if everything seems to be surfacing at once, know this: it's not chaos, it's cleansing. You're standing in the middle of holy surgery, and heaven doesn't stop until the infection is gone. This exposure will not only reveal your inner struggles, but also uncover the intentions of those around you. Some people in your circle were assigned to your old season, not your new one. The light will make that clear. It's not betrayal, it's revelation. The closer you move toward destiny, the fewer shadows can travel with you. Do not mourn those who distance themselves when light enters your life. They were never meant to walk in this level of clarity. You may also find yourself seeing through deception more easily. What once fooled you now feels transparent. Words that once manipulated you now ring hollow. You're learning to discern motives the way heaven does not, through suspicion, but through light. The more light you walk in, the less confusion you encounter. Chosen one, do not be afraid of what is being uncovered. The same light that exposes also transforms. The shadows you're seeing now will soon become the proof that you've been delivered. Let this process do its work. Let the truth burn gently until the last illusion melts away. This week, every hidden battle is being pulled into the open. Don't run from it, stand firm in it. Heaven's eye is not only watching, it is warring for you. Angels move at the speed of revelation. And right now, They are surrounding what was once unseen. You are not fighting alone. Remember this truth. Darkness only has power when it remains unchallenged. But once it is named, it loses its grip. So, speak the truth. You now see. Confront what has been silently stealing your strength. This exposure is heaven's mercy, not its wrath. You are being cleansed, not condemned. When the gaze of heaven intensifies, darkness begins to tremble. You can feel it in the atmosphere, those invisible tremors that shake everything not rooted in truth. The same light that comforts you is now disrupting everything that has opposed you. You've walked through storms that seemed to have no purpose, endured nights that felt endless. But this moment, this week, is different. Something in the spiritual realm has shifted. Chosen one. When God watches, the darkness panics. The eye of the Almighty is not passive, it burns. When it falls upon your life, it unsettles everything that doesn't belong there. The shadows that once stalked you now stumble in confusion because divine focus exposes their hiding places. You may not see it with your physical eyes, but in the unseen world, forces of darkness are scattering. There's a sound, a tremor in the spirit of chains, loosening. You've been waiting for proof that heaven hasn't forgotten you. Here it is. Every attack that once seemed to prosper is losing momentum. The very plans designed to destroy you are unraveling because God Himself is watching over you. It was spoken long ago, and it still echoes today from the book of Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 17. No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. When from? But here's what few understand. When light surrounds you, it also demands your participation. God doesn't just defend you, He invites you to rise, to step into partnership with His plan. The darkness doesn't only flee because He watches, it flees because you agree with His gaze. Every act of faith, every whisper of obedience, every prayer uttered in surrender, it amplifies the light around you. Imagine your spirit as a lighthouse on a cliff's edge. The storms crash. Waves roar. The sky rages, but your light keeps burning. It's not loud, it's steady. And that steady glow becomes the very thing that guides others who are lost in their own tempests. When you hold your ground in faith, heaven multiplies your influence. You're not just surviving, you're signaling hope. You may not realize it, but you're teaching the unseen world something about endurance. Every time you choose love over bitterness, truth over convenience, faith over fear, the darkness loses territory. You are proof that God's light cannot be extinguished by human pain. Chosen one. This is the hour to protect that light. Don't let discouragement dim it. Don't allow exhaustion to silence it. Feed it through prayer, through worship, through gratitude, and yes, through connection. You were never meant to keep this fire to yourself. When light grows, it spreads. That's how darkness is overcome, not through isolated sparks, but through a constellation of believers burning together. Every time you share the message, every time you encourage another soul, every time you sow into the flame that ignited your faith, you are joining heaven's resistance against despair. If these words have stirred something in you, if they have helped you feel seen, strengthened, or reminded of your divine purpose, I ask from the heart, let the light flow outward, so that this message keeps shining on digital highways. Share, so that another weary soul can remember that no weapon formed against them will stand. Subscribe to stay connected to this river of revelation, where heaven continues to speak. And if you feel led, if something in your spirit says, "I want to help keep this flame burning for others," then consider giving, not as obligation, but as worship. Every seed you sow becomes fuel for this lighthouse. It helps these words reach beyond your screen to hearts that are barely holding on. Think of it as placing oil into the lamp that keeps countless flames alive. You are not funding content, you are fueling light. When a sailor at sea spots a distant lighthouse, he doesn't know the names of those who keep its flame alive, but he is grateful they exist. You can be that unseen guardian for someone else. The smallest act of generosity carries eternal weight when done in love. The darkness trembles. Yes, but it also watches to see whether your faith will flicker or blaze. Keep it burning. Chosen one, tend to your flame. Heaven's gaze has not moved from you, and the same light that shields you will guide others through you. This week, as the powerful eye of God remains fixed on your life, remember, you are not merely protected. You are positioned, not only watched, but entrusted. Every moment you choose faith over fear, the tremors of divine power grow stronger, pushing back darkness farther than you can see. Hold fast. Luminous Sul. Heaven's watchful gaze is both armor and invitation. Let your light rise like dawn, and let it reach every shore it was meant to touch. There is a rhythm to heaven's attention, a steady heartbeat that echoes through your days, even when you are unaware of it. The gaze of God does not flicker or fade. It endures through every high and low, every victory and setback. This week, chosen one, you are walking under divine observation so precise that even your smallest step has meaning. The unseen realm watches your every move, not with suspicion, but with care. You may not feel powerful right now. Maybe life has been heavy lately, too many unanswered questions, too many responsibilities pressing against your shoulders. Yet heaven's eyes never look away. The same gaze that watched over Moses in the wilderness and Ruth in her harvest field now follows your path. The ordinary moments, you overlook your morning sigh, your quiet prayer, your steady perseverance are all sacred in His sight. It is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 121, verses 3 and 4. He will not let your foot slip. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, He who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. Those words are your assurance this week. Heaven does not blink when you feel unseen. Remember this: you are being watched over in real time. Every time anxiety whispers that you're alone, every time exhaustion tells you that no one notices your effort, heaven's steady gaze answers back, "I see you." And there are days when you move forward with confidence and days when you crawl through the dust of discouragement. Yet through both, the divine rhythm remains. God counts your steps not to monitor, but to multiply. Every motion toward goodness, every inch of progress made through tears, becomes a testimony written in the unseen. You're not just living, you're leaving a pattern of faith that angels record. Chosen one, your path is more protected than you realize. There are battles that never reached you because heaven intercepted them. There were accidents you didn't experience because the divine eye redirected your route. There are words spoken against you that dissolved before they touched your spirit. What you call luck is often divine choreography. You've been through seasons where it seemed like nothing was working in your favor. But step by step, you've been guided out of chaos and into clarity. You didn't always see the thread. But now, looking back, you can sense the invisible hand that held you upright when you should have fallen. That's what it means for your steps to be counted and covered. Heaven not only directs your journey, but shields it. And yet, divine guidance is not passive. When you pray, heaven listens not only to your words but to your motives. When you act, it sees the silent reasoning behind your actions. This is why honesty with yourself is no longer optional. It is sacred necessity. There is no room for pretending when you live under divine attention. It may feel overwhelming, but this kind of exposure is love in its highest form. God cannot heal what you continue to hide. He cannot elevate what you still mask. But these are not punishments, they're protections disguised as pauses. The same God who opens paths also blocks pitfalls. Trust the interruptions. They are proof that your path is monitored by mercy. There will be days when you feel delayed, when your prayers seem to bounce off the ceiling. But delays under divine gaze are not denials. They are divine pacing. You are being aligned, not ignored. Your timing is being tuned to heaven's rhythm, and the weight is forming strength inside you that quick success could never give. You might not see angels physically, but you walk surrounded by their unseen company. The eye that watches you commands them to shield you, to fight for you, to lift you when your knees buckle under life's weight. You are never alone on your path. Even when silence feels deafening. Chosen one. Let this truth settle deeply within you. Your journey is not random. Every step you take this week is measured with care and covered with grace. Heaven walks beside you, behind you, and before you. And if this message resonates in your spirit, if something inside you whispers, "Yes, that's for me," then mark this moment of divine agreement. Comment the number 444 below. It symbolizes divine order and angelic presence, the assurance that your path is aligned with heaven's pattern. Type it not as superstition, but as declaration. My steps are counted. My path is covered. Let the number become your reminder every time doubt tries to creep in. Heaven keeps perfect track of your journey. And this week, every step you take will echo with purpose. You walk under open skies, guided by a watchful eye that never sleeps. So, move forward, steady and unafraid. You are not lost, you are led. When heaven's gaze lingers long enough, it eventually becomes a mirror. The light that once seemed to shine upon you now begins to shine within you. And under that illumination, you see yourself more clearly than ever before. This is the mirror of conviction, the sacred reflection that reveals both your wounds and your worth. Chosen one. It is not easy to face the truth of your own heart. To be seen by heaven is one thing. To see yourself through heaven's eyes is another. The same light that exposes the world around you now turns inward, revealing corners of the soul you've avoided for years. It's the kind of light that doesn't shout, it whispers, gently uncovering layers you didn't know you still carried. For so long, you've defined yourself by what others said, by what you survived, by the versions of you that pain created. But as you stand before the mirror of divine conviction, those falsy identities begin to dissolve. The Holy Spirit does not accuse, He awakens. He doesn't humiliate, he heals. This mirror does not reflect condemnation, it reflects invitation. Come higher, come closer, come clean. It can feel uncomfortable, even painful, to see your reflection this way. The light reveals motives behind your decisions, insecurities behind your pride, fear behind your silence. It shows you not to shame you, but to free you from the illusions that have kept you small. Every time you try to look away, the Spirit calls you gently back. Don't run. Face this. There's gold under the dirt. You are not being judged. You are being refined. Conviction is not divine anger. It's divine affection. It's the language of a father who refuses to let his children live beneath their design. When God corrects you, it's because he sees a version of you. You've forgotten the radiant one, the brave one, the one still capable of wonder. The Apostle Paul described this transformation beautifully in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 18. And we all, who with unveiled faces contemplate the Lord's glory, are being transformed into his image with ever-increasing glory, which comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit. End quote. Unveiled faces, that is what this season is about. The veil is the fear of being seen, the fear of admitting your flaws, the fear of stepping into light after years of hiding. God's covering doesn't mean you stand still, it means you walk in confidence. You are called to move even when you don't understand. There's a grace that meets you in motion. Heaven cannot steer a still vessel, so take the next step, however small it may seem. The ground beneath you has already been prepared. Sometimes, your protection will look like disruption. A door you wanted may stay closed. A plan may fall apart. A person may leave unexpectedly. Sometimes, what you see in that mirror will bring tears. You'll grieve the wasted time, the missed opportunities, the ways you've hurt yourself and others. But heaven receives even your tears as offerings. Every tear that falls before that mirror is turned into oil, oil of healing, oil of anointing. The truth is, this process makes you radiant. Each confession becomes cleansing. Each surrender becomes strength. There's a holiness that begins to settle over your life, not because you've become perfect, but because you've become honest. Heaven does not demand flawlessness. It honors transparency. And soon, something beautiful happens. The mirror that once revealed your weakness begins to reflect glory. You start to notice light where there used to be shame, peace where there used to be striving. The same eyes that once avoided your reflection now find comfort in it. Because now, when you look at yourself, you no longer see a survivor, you see a vessel of divine light. Chosen one, do not despise this mirror. Keep standing before it. Let it show you both your need and your beauty. Let conviction become your compass, not your cage. For every layer of illusion that falls away reveals more of the image of God within you. The gaze of heaven has turned inward not to accuse, but to transform. But now, the veil is being lifted. The more you gaze into divine truth, the more you begin to reflect it. What you behold, you become. This is not a one-time revelation. It's a lifelong rhythm. Each time you dare to face yourself honestly, you move a little closer to who you truly are. Conviction becomes conversation, not condemnation. The Spirit doesn't point and accuse. He speaks and restores. The mirror is not your enemy. It is your mercy. Conviction opens the door, but trust keeps you walking through it. After you've seen yourself honestly in heaven's mirror, you step into a new test, the testing of trust. This is not the kind of test that measures knowledge or strength. It measures surrender. It asks one quiet, piercing question: will you trust me, even when you cannot trace me, chosen one? This is where the journey deepens. Divine vision has revealed what needed healing. But now the gaze of God observes how you respond when understanding fades. Revelation shows you what is. Trust teaches you who He is. And so, heaven begins to arrange circumstances that stretch your faith like fire tempers gold. It is easy to trust when doors open smoothly, when prayers are answered quickly, when light floods every path. But faith that has never been tested remains fragile. To be entrusted with destiny, your confidence in God must be proven genuine. That is why this season feels unpredictable. Heaven has not abandoned you. It is refining you. At times, you will stand in the tension between promise and proof. You will hold a word from God in one hand and silence in the other. You'll look around and see no confirmation, no movement, no sign. And yet, that is where trust matures, when you choose to believe even when the evidence disappears. The Apostle Peter understood this mystery when he wrote in his first letter, chapter 1, verse 7, "These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold." Lo, notice those words, more precious than gold. God values faith above success, above comfort, above applause. Because faith connects you to eternity, it is the bridge between divine promise and human experience. Every trial you face is not meant to destroy you. It's designed to reveal what cannot be shaken. Think of your life like a tapestry. From the front, you see beauty and pattern. From the back, it looks tangled and chaotic. But the master weaver knows how every thread belongs, even the dark ones. Trust is the choice to believe that the weaver's hand is steady, even when the pattern makes no sense. This week may bring moments that test that belief. Perhaps a prayer remains unanswered, or a plan you built with care begins to crumble. Perhaps you feel that heaven has gone silent just when you need it most. But silence from God is never neglect. It is often His invitation for you to listen differently. When you cannot see the way, remember what the light has already revealed. Trust builds on revelation. It does not erase it. What God showed you before the storm remains true in the middle of it. The promise doesn't vanish when the pressure comes. It simply waits for faith to unlock it. Some days, trusting will feel like walking on water. Each step defies logic, and the wind howls to pull you under. But every act of faith, no matter how trembling, creates new ground beneath your feet. Heaven honors movement born of trust, more than certainty born of sight. And there will be days when you stumble, when doubt visits like a cold wind, when your hands tremble as you try to hold the promise again. Even then, grace is near. Trust is not the absence of doubt. It's the decision to keep walking despite it. The eye of heaven sees your struggle, not with disappointment, but with pride. You may not feel strong, but every time you whisper, "I still believe," something shifts in the unseen realm. Angels record those words as victories. Heaven marks your endurance as sacred progress. Soon, you'll look back and realize that every moment of uncertainty was actually divine preparation. The trials that once terrified you have turned into training. Your faith is being forged. Your roots are digging deeper. Your soul is learning resilience. You are becoming someone who can carry revelation without being crushed by it. Chosen one. This is the refining fire of trust. It is not pleasant, but it is powerful. It turns fragile faith into unshakable conviction. When this testing is complete, you will not only believe in God, you will trust Him. Even in the dark, let this truth settle deep within you. The eye that tests you is the same eye that treasures you. You are not being watched to fail. You are being witnessed to grow. There are moments when heaven's gaze grows so intimate that silence itself becomes a message. It is not the silence of distance, but of depth. The kind of quiet that settles when words are too small for what the Spirit wants to say. Chosen one. This is the hour of still communication. The moment when the voice of God chooses to whisper instead of thunder. The world around you may be noisy, full of movement and distraction, but inside the stillness, a divine sentence is forming. You are being made whole, piece by piece, reflection by reflection, glory by glory. The mirror is not your punishment, it's your path home. They are whispers from eternity, traveling through the quiet corridors of your consciousness. The challenge is not hearing them, the challenge is trusting them. In the quiet hours, revelation is distilled into wisdom. The noise of life often drowns the subtle tones of the Spirit. But now, you are learning to listen differently. The more still you become, the louder heaven sounds. There is a frequency that only still hearts can perceive, a language not of words, but of presence. The prophet Elijah learned this in his own wilderness, where wind, earthquake, and fire all failed to reveal God's voice. Only when silence remained did the whisper arrive. It is recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 19, verse 12. And after the fire came a gentle whisper. That whisper is what changes everything. It doesn't force, it invites. It doesn't command, it calls. It's the voice that doesn't break the silence but fills it. The more you lean in, the more it unveils. Sometimes you expect God to speak through miracles, through signs that turn heads and demand attention. Yet this week, the miracle will come through peace. You will find yourself suddenly calm about things that used to consume you. You will stop forcing what never fit. Stop chasing what keeps escaping. The whisper will tell you to release what you've been gripping and to rest in the assurance that what belongs to you cannot be lost. When heaven whispers, it's not always about direction. Sometimes it's about restoration. It brings you back to your center, reminding you that the same God who speaks galaxies into being also speaks comfort into your chest. You don't need to perform to hear Him, you just need to be present. Chosen one. This is not a season for shouting prayers into the void. It's a season for listening to what answers in the stillness. The whisper of God does not compete with the noise, it waits for it to fade. Every time you choose silence over striving, you tune your soul to divine frequency. The eye of heaven is fixed on you, even now, waiting for your awareness to settle. You are not in a pause, you are in preparation. The message coming to you is not late, it's layered. The quiet you feel is full of meaning waiting to unfold. You may feel like nothing is happening, but look closely. Your peace is proof that heaven is near. When the world grows loud again, when doubts try to rise, return to that whisper. Let it be your anchor. Now, Take a breath. Let your spirit settle into the stillness that surrounds these words. If you can feel that quiet stirring inside you, the whisper calling you home, then respond to it. Not with noise, but with agreement. Comment these words below. Speak. Lord. Say them as your declaration of readiness. It's not a plea for sound, it's a posture of surrender. When you type those 2 words, you're telling heaven, I'm listening now. I'm done running, done guessing, done trying to control the message. I trust the whisper. Every time you return to those words, you open a door between your heart and God's. The whisper will meet you there, shaping you, guiding you, strengthening you. This is how intimacy with heaven begins, not with thunder, but with stillness. The gentle whisper is the language of those who are truly chosen. And this week, you will hear it more clearly than ever before. There is a moment when being seen by heaven shifts from exposure to endorsement. You begin to sense favor settling upon you like morning dew, quiet, gentle, and undeniable. The air feels lighter, not because the world has changed, but because you have. The weight of waiting begins to lift, and you realize something extraordinary. God has not only been watching you, He has been preparing to bless you openly. Chosen one. The eye of heaven never observes without purpose. Where there has been pressure, there is now promotion. The same gaze that refined you is now releasing favor into your path. Doors that refuse to open are beginning to unlock, not through human effort, but through divine timing. Your name is being mentioned in rooms you haven't entered yet, by people you've never met, because favor speaks in places your voice cannot reach. The writings of David remind us in the book of Psalms, chapter 5, verse 12. Surely, Lord, you bless the righteous. You surround them with your favor, as with a shield. That favor is not fragile, it's a fortress. It doesn't always arrive with noise. Sometimes it comes as opportunities that align too perfectly to be coincidence. It comes as unexpected peace in the middle of transition, as resources appearing just when your hands are empty, as mercy finding you before judgment can reach you. You've been faithful in unseen spaces, and heaven has taken note. This week, small signs of divine endorsement will start to appear, little evidences that you've stepped into a new current of grace. Where you once struggled to be understood, understanding will now come easily. Where you once fought to be chosen, you will now find yourself favored without striving. Favor is heaven's silent applause. It doesn't boast, it confirms. It says, I see you. Keep walking. Yet, favor also carries responsibility. The blessings arriving now are not rewards, they're assignments. You are blessed to become a blessing. You are favored so that others may find hope through your light. Think of your life as a garden tended by unseen hands. For a long time, it seemed barren, as though every seed you planted vanished in dry soil. But what you didn't see was that heaven was watering you underground. Now, the first shoots of favor are breaking the surface. This is the season when roots become visible fruit. The more favor grows, the more humility must deepen. A tree heavy with fruit bends low, not high. Let your heart bow, not boast. Give credit where it belongs to the one whose gaze never left you in your wilderness. Gratitude keeps favor flowing. Pride blocks it. And if these words find your heart and bring light to your path, I want to speak to you from a place of sincerity. The light we build here together, this sanctuary of words, of faith, of divine reminder, thrives through connection. When you like this message, you add oil to the flame. When you share it, you help the light travel farther, reaching souls that may be one heartbeat away from giving up. When you subscribe, you become part of a circle that listens together, prays together, and grows under the same gaze of grace. And if you feel a stirring inside, a quiet nudge to contribute beyond engagement, follow that leading. Donate not out of pressure, but out of partnership. Think of it as watering the soil that has watered you. Every offering, small or great, becomes a seed sown into divine communication, helping this voice reach farther into the shadows, where someone waits for their reminder that heaven still sees them. Your giving becomes a ripple, touching lives you'll never meet, strengthening hearts that might be trembling tonight. It's not a transaction, it's transformation, like a lamp on a hill. Each act of generosity keeps the light visible to those lost in the fog. You are part of that light now, part of the radiant network heaven is weaving across this world. One listener, one word, one act of faith at a time. Chosen one. This is your week of visible favor. Don't chase it, walk in it. Don't question it, steward it. And when blessing comes, lift your eyes and remember, it is not the favor itself that matters most, but the gaze behind it. Walk humbly, shine brightly, and carry your light like an open lantern. Others will find their way because you refuse to hide yours. The air feels charged again, not with fear this time, but with awareness. You can sense it before it becomes visible, resistance stirring, tension tightening around the edges of your peace. It's as though the darkness, threatened by your awakening, has decided to make one last, desperate attempt to reclaim what it has lost. Do not be alarmed. Chosen one. The appearance of opposition is not a sign that you are off course. It is proof that you are advancing. Every time light expands, shadows react. Every step of progress irritates the forces that thrived on your confusion. Now that revelation and favor have aligned over you, the enemy grows restless. The spiritual resistance you feel this week is not random, it is response. It is what happens when the unseen world realizes it cannot blind you anymore. You have felt this pressure before in the form of fatigue that comes without reason, sudden irritation, or thoughts that whisper lies too subtly to recognize at first. These are not coincidences. They are attempts to distract your focus and weaken your faith. But remember, the eye that watches you also shields you. The same divine attention that exposed hidden battles now commands armies of angels to stand guard. The apostle wrote with authority in the second letter to the Thessalonians, chapter 3, verse 3, "But the Lord is faithful, and he will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one." End of. That single promise is your anchor. Protection does not always mean the absence of attack. It means the assurance of victory. The storms may still come, but they cannot drown you. The arrows may still fly, but they cannot pierce the shield that surrounds you. The darkness may roar, but it cannot silence the light that lives within you. Think of your spirit as a flame cupped in the hands of God. The winds may blow fiercely, yet the hands never open. They guard, they shelter, they preserve. That's what you're hearing now, the echo of what's dying, not the voice of what's winning. Chosen one. This is not the time to retreat. Do not mistake the noise for power. The enemy is loud when it's losing. The louder the attack, the closer the victory. Hold your peace, for it is a weapon in itself. Remember how far you've come. There was a time when small obstacles could shake your confidence, but now, even storms bow before your stillness. That's what you're hearing now, the echo of what's dying, not the voice of what's winning. Chosen one, this is not the time to retreat. Do not mistake the noise for power. The enemy is loud when it's losing. The louder the attack, the closer the victory. Hold your peace, for it is a weapon in itself. Remember how far you've come. There was a time when small obstacles could shake your confidence, but now, even storms bow before your stillness. You have learned to stand beneath the watchful eye of heaven and not panic. That composure terrifies darkness more than any shout of defiance. The enemy feeds on reaction. Silence starves it. You will notice subtle shifts this week. Conversations that were once heavy will begin to feel lighter. Situations that seemed impossible will start to show cracks of opportunity. The presence of resistance does not mean God has stopped moving. It often means He's moving more deeply than ever before. Be mindful of what tries to draw your attention away from peace. Every distraction carries an assignment to break your focus, to make you forget that you are already covered. Refuse to give it power. When anxiety tries to rise, respond with stillness. When frustration flares, respond with gratitude. These are the languages of warriors who know who they are. Heaven's defense around you is not symbolic, it is active. There are angels positioned along your path, unseen guardians who step between you and harm before you even recognize the threat. Sometimes they appear as coincidences, the delay that prevented danger, the wrong turn that avoided trouble, the stranger who offered help at the perfect moment. Those are not accidents, they are divine interventions operating under heaven's watchful command. You may not see every battle being fought on your behalf, but that doesn't mean it isn't happening. That's what you're hearing now, the echo of what's dying, not the voice of what's winning. Chosen one, this is not the time to retreat. Do not mistake the noise for power. The enemy is loud when it's losing. The louder the attack, the closer the victory. Hold your peace, for it is a weapon in itself. Remember how far you've come. There was a time when small obstacles could shake your confidence, but now, even storms bow before your stillness. That's what you're hearing now, the echo of what's dying, not the voice of what's winning. Chosen one, this is not the time to retreat. Do not mistake the noise for power. The enemy is loud when it's losing. The louder the attack, the closer the victory. Hold your peace, for it is a weapon in itself. Remember how far you've come. There was a time when small obstacles could shake your confidence, but now, even storms bow before your stillness. The darkness may rise, but it will not reign. You have outlasted too much to falter now. The moment you stopped, just in time, turned left instead of right, or spoke words that felt wiser than your own. These were angelic fingerprints, small interventions written into your timeline by divine command. Angels are not distant observers. They are participants in your journey. They carry instructions written from the throne, and their movements are precise. Some are warriors, driving back the shadows that try to form around your destiny. The divine gaze that has followed you since the week began is now orchestrating visible proof of what was spoken in secret. The quiet promises made in your spirit are beginning to echo outward. every delay, every closed door. Every moment that once felt wasted is revealing its purpose. When God confirms something, He does not always send thunder. Sometimes He sends alignment, small, almost unnoticeable connections that carry His fingerprints. A word from a stranger that echoes your prayer. These are not coincidences. They are attempts to distract your focus and weaken your faith. But remember, the eye that watches you also shields you. The same divine attention that exposed hidden battles now commands armies of angels to stand guard. The apostle wrote with authority in the second letter to the Thessalonians, chapter 3, verse 3, "But the Lord is faithful, and He will strengthen you and protect you from the evil one." End of. That single promise is your anchor. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. Oh, that is the heartbeat of this moment. It will certainly come. Heaven's timing is not slow. It is strategic. Every vision and promise attached to your life has an appointed hour, and you are standing close to one of them. There are confirmations happening even now that you haven't noticed yet. Heaven often hides them in ordinary days so that only those with spiritual sight will see. A message on a billboard, a repeated dream, a sudden peace where fear once ruled. These are all holy signals. When you start recognizing them, it means your discernment has matured. You're no longer waiting for external miracles. You've become the kind of soul that can hear heaven through the ordinary. Prophetic confirmation is both encouragement and instruction. It says, yes, you heard correctly. But it also says, now, prepare for what comes next. Each confirmation is a small door leading to deeper trust. It reminds you that God hasn't changed His mind about you, even if time tried to convince you otherwise. Look closely at your life right now. The areas that once looked dormant are stirring. Conversations feel charged with divine timing. Even interruptions feel meaningful. The Spirit is weaving a narrative so delicate that only gratitude can interpret it. Do not dismiss what seems small. Great prophecies are often wrapped in subtle signs. This week, heaven is building your confidence through repetition. The same message will find you in multiple forms, as if heaven is saying, pay attention. This is your moment. You'll find yourself recognizing patterns that others overlook, because the eye upon you is training you to see through spiritual lenses. And when confirmation arrives, it will not come with confusion, it will bring peace. Prophetic truth never agitates, it aligns. It doesn't add pressure, it removes doubt. You will feel clarity, not chaos. That is how you'll know it's real. Chosen one, your task now is simple but sacred. Stay awake. Notice the details. Write down the dreams. Keep a record of the patterns. The same God who whispered direction in silence is now sending proof in motion. This week, your faith will see evidence. Be mindful of what tries to draw your attention away from peace. Every distraction carries an assignment to break your focus, to make you forget that you are already covered. Refuse to give it power. When anxiety tries to rise, respond with stillness. When frustration flares, respond with gratitude. These are the languages of warriors who know who they are. Heaven's defense around you is not symbolic, it is active. Prophetic truth never agitates, it aligns. It doesn't add pressure, it removes doubt. You will feel clarity, not chaos. That is how you'll know it's real. Chosen one, your task now is simple but sacred. Stay awake. Notice the details. Write down the dreams. Keep a record of the patterns. The same God who whispered direction in silence is now sending proof in motion. This week, your faith will see evidence. Once heaven says your awareness, the patterns accelerate. You'll begin to realize that nothing in your life is random. Every encounter, every delay, every detour has been divinely choreographed. This is not the end of the story. It's the unveiling of it. The waiting season is turning into the witnessing season. You are about to see what faith looks like when it blossoms into reality. So stand still for a moment. Let awe settle in. Feel the gaze of God resting upon you, not as a spotlight, but as sunlight, warm, steady, life-giving. The week of revelation has matured into the week of confirmation, and heaven is smiling at your awareness. You heard correctly. You waited faithfully. Now, watch him prove true. There is a presence around you that words can barely describe, subtle, soft, yet impossibly strong. You have walked through refinement, endured testing, and stood under revelation. Now, heaven begins to reveal the quiet truth that has surrounded you all along. You have never been alone. The eye that has watched you is not solitary. Around you, unseen and unwavering, moves a circle of angels, chosen one. The spiritual realm is not distant. Prophetic truth never agitates. It aligns. It doesn't add pressure. It removes doubt. You will feel clarity, not chaos. That is how you'll know it's real. Chosen one. Your task now is simple but sacred. Stay awake. Notice the details. Write down the dreams. Keep a record of the patterns. The same God who whispered direction in silence is now sending proof in motion. This week, your faith will see evidence. The word itself means permanence. A dwelling, a circle of defense that doesn't dissolve when dawn comes. Heaven has stationed protection around you, not because you are fragile, but because you are chosen for assignments that attract both light and opposition. You've felt this presence before, though you may not have recognized it. The sudden calm in the middle of panic, the unexplainable safety in what could have been disaster. And when that moment comes when you recognize the sign that matches your spirit, don't rush past it. Pause. Whisper. Gratitude. Heaven loves to be thanked for what most people call coincidence. Gratitude turns recognition into revelation. If these words resonate, if you can already feel confirmation rippling through your week, then seal this awareness with a prophetic act. Comment the number 888 below. Others are messengers, delivering strength to your weary spirit. Some simply stand guard, ensuring that what God has promised reaches its appointed fulfillment. You are surrounded by this holy company. Even when you feel isolated, the more you align your spirit with faith, the more aware you become of their activity. Fear dims your perception, but gratitude sharpens it. When you walk in trust, you begin to sense the subtle movements of heaven's army, like the faint shifting of wings in the distance. Reminders that protection never sleeps. There have been nights when despair tried to invade your thoughts, when invisible weight pressed against your chest, whispering lies of defeat. Yet you woke up anyway. You found peace anyway. That was not coincidence. Angels stood at the threshold of your soul and said, "Not this one. Not tonight." Your prayers are not just words that vanish into air. They become assignments. Each prayer uttered in faith sends a signal into the unseen realm, and heaven responds. Angels move on that sound. When you pray for strength, they bring it. When you speak life over others, they deliver it. When you cry for help, they answer before you finish the sentence. This is the secret beauty of divine attention. It does not only come from above, it moves beside you. You are walking through a spiritual ecosystem designed entirely for your preservation and purpose. The unseen hosts around you are not there because you are weak. They are there because your calling carries weight. And yet, their presence is not to replace your faith, but to reinforce it. Angels do not act outside God's will. They amplify it. They are heaven's response to your obedience. Each time you say yes to divine direction, their circle tightens, their protection deepens. The more aligned you become with purpose, the stronger their presence grows. Sometimes they come disguised, a stranger's kindness that saves you from despair, a sudden provision that arrives when you're at your limit, a word spoken at just the right moment. You may never know their faces until eternity, but their work surrounds you every day. Chosen one. This week, you will begin to feel their nearness in new ways. The unease that used to accompany solitude will start to fade. Peace will replace pressure. You will notice moments of delay or interruption that make no sense. Trust them. Often, divine protection looks like inconvenience. The circle of angels is not merely defense, it's confirmation. Their presence testifies that you are walking the correct path. They are drawn not to comfort zones, but to kingdom callings. That is why you feel guarded, yet guided, covered, yet challenged. Heaven sends protection only where purpose exists. So, breathe deeply. The unseen is not against you, it is for you. When you walk through shadowed valleys, remember that the circle moves with you. When you rest, they keep watch. When you pray, they lean closer. You are never outnumbered, never unguarded, never abandoned. The eye of God watches, and the hosts of heaven encamp together. They ensure that nothing formed against you succeeds. You are surrounded by presence, seen and unseen, natural and divine, and it all moves for your good. There comes a time when what has been hidden cannot remain concealed any longer. You have walked through secrecy, through preparation, through the quiet seasons where only heaven's gaze recognized your worth. But now, something within you begins to stir a sense that the veil of obscurity is lifting. You, chosen one, are stepping into visibility. This is the moment heaven begins to reveal what it has been shaping in silence. For years, your development happened underground. Like a seed buried in the dark soil, you were covered, not forgotten, hidden, not rejected. The stillness you mistook for abandonment was actually incubation. God does his finest work in secret. He refines vessels privately before unveiling them publicly. The same way the roots of a tree grow deep before the branches spread wide. Your unseen endurance has prepared you for this expansion. Now, the eye that watched you grow in silence is ready to display what it has nurtured. But take note, divine visibility is not about fame, it is about function. Heaven does not reveal you to be admired. It reveals you to be useful. The light that begins to shine through your life is meant to guide others, not to glorify you. Jesus spoke this truth clearly in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 14 through 16. You are the light of the world. There comes a time when what has been hidden cannot remain concealed any longer. You have walked through secrecy, through preparation, through the quiet seasons where only heaven's gaze recognized your worth. But now, something within you begins to stir, a sense that the veil of obscurity is lifting. You, chosen one, are stepping into visibility. This is the moment heaven begins to reveal what it has been shaping in silence. When the light inside you grows strong enough, heaven will remove the coverings that once concealed you. What felt like delay was simply divine timing, ensuring that your light would not be wasted on unprepared audiences. The season you are entering will draw attention, not because you've chased it, but because light cannot help but draw eyes. Yet you must remember that with visibility comes responsibility. The higher the hill, the wider the reach, and the stronger the winds. The same spotlight that reveals your beauty can also expose your weakness. That is why humility must become your anchor. The moment you forget who placed the light within you, the brightness begins to dim. This unveiling may also bring discomfort. People who knew you only in your hidden stages might not understand your emergence. They may question your growth or feel uneasy around your transformation. Do not let that discourage you. When God elevates a person, He also recalibrates their environment. Some relationships were meant to thrive in shadows, but cannot survive in light. You must bless them and release them. Visibility will attract attention, some of it pure, some of it jealous. Do not waste energy explaining yourself. The fruit of your obedience will speak louder than your defense. The same God who revealed you will sustain you. Your job is not to manage perception, it is to maintain purity. The world sees the light, heaven sees the flame that feeds it. You may find yourself walking into opportunities that once seemed unreachable. Conversations that feel orchestrated by unseen hands, or platforms that appear too large for your comfort. Remember, favor flows where purpose resides. You do not stand there by luck, but by lineage. Heaven trusts you with visibility because you proved faithful in obscurity. And while this unveiling feels new, it is not sudden. Every hardship you endured, every test you passed, every tear you prayed through was shaping the strength required for this stage. You are ready, not perfect, but prepared. The confidence you carry now is not arrogance, it is alignment. Still, don't mistake visibility for arrival. The light shining through you is not the destination, it's a tool. It's meant to heal, inspire, and ignite others. The world is not meant to stare at you, but to see God through you. When they look your way, let them find kindness, patience, and authenticity. Let your radiance be a reflection, not a performance. Chosen one, you are being placed on a hill not because you are flawless, but because you are faithful. Heaven's purpose always outshines human imperfection. So walk humbly, speak wisely, and shine freely. The season of hiddenness is over. You will still have private moments with heaven, but they will now fuel public impact. The same light that once illuminated your healing will now illuminate your calling. Let your life be the living lamp. It was always meant to be bright enough to guide, gentle enough to comfort, and steady enough to endure. The world doesn't need another spectacle. It needs another flame of truth. And that flame, chosen one, burns in you. The winds have shifted again, not with chaos, but with strength. You stand now in the open, no longer hidden. no longer unsure, and you can feel the weight of heaven's attention resting steadily upon you. The eye of God still watches, but this time, it no longer feels overwhelming. It feels like alignment, like standing in sunlight after a long storm. Your soul finally exhales. You are not who you were when this journey began. You are steadier now, grounded, unshaken, chosen one. This is the moment of standing unshaken before the watcher. You have endured the breaking, survived the molding, and passed through the refining fire. What remains is not fragile faith, it is tempered gold. The gaze of heaven no longer feels like inspection, it feels like partnership. You and God are co-laborers now, moving in rhythm, building what was once only a vision. The psalmist once wrote in the book of Psalms, chapter 16, verse 8, I keep my eyes always on the Lord. With him at my right hand, I will not be shaken. Those words are no longer distant scripture for you. They are the very rhythm of your breath. You have learned that stability does not mean stillness, it means rootedness. The storms still come, but they cannot uproot what heaven has planted. You've discovered the quiet power of endurance, the sacred art of remaining calm while the world trembles. When you walk in this kind of peace, the darkness loses its grip. Your silence becomes thunder in the spirit realm. Your stillness becomes strategy. The enemy does not know how to fight someone who refuses to be moved. This is your strength now, not loudness, not striving, but unwavering presence. Think of a mountain standing tall as seasons change around it. The snow melts, the rain falls, the winds howl, but the mountain remains. That is you, not by pride, but by purpose. Your roots reach deep into divine soil, nourished by every tear you've cried, every prayer you've whispered, every moment you've refused to quit. And as you stand in that stillness, something else begins to happen. Others start to notice. People are drawn to unshakable souls, the way travelers are drawn to lighthouses in fog. Your calm becomes their compass. They watch how you respond to uncertainty, how you maintain grace under pressure, and something within them begins to hope again. That's the secret of divine influence. It doesn't shout, it radiates. You're not called to convince, you're called to be. Your presence itself becomes a sermon. The way you forgive becomes a testimony. The way you stand after falling becomes a message that heaven is still faithful. This is why what we build together here matters. These words are not mere sentences, they are seeds. They fall into hearts all around the world, sprouting courage where there was despair, rekindling faith where there was fatigue. If these messages have strengthened your spirit, then I ask you, sincerely, help keep the garden growing. When you like this message, you add sunlight. When you share it, you carry seeds to new soil places you may never visit, hearts you may never meet. When you subscribe, you become part of the steady rain that keeps the field alive. And if your spirit feels led to donate, think of it not as a transaction, but as planting roots into sacred ground. Every offering, small or great, becomes nourishment for the words that have nourished you. It allows this stream of light to continue flowing, reaching those who stand where you once stood, weary, unseen, but hungry for hope. You see, light doesn't travel alone. It reflects. It multiplies. It passes from one heart to another. When you give, you are not just supporting a voice, you are extending a flame. Somewhere, someone will find peace because you kept the fire alive. And before you move on, take a moment to engage, not out of routine, but out of reflection. Comment something from your heart. It doesn't need to be long or perfect, just real. Let your words join the chorus of others who have stood under the same gaze, felt the same refining, and chosen the same faith. Sometimes, a single comment can be the spark that reignites another soul's courage. Chosen one. This is your season to remain unmoved in both storm and sunshine. Heaven has seen you falter, but it has also seen you rise. You've learned that power doesn't always roar. It often stands quietly, clothed in grace. So remain grounded. Keep shining. And as you stand before the watching eye, remember, you are not under scrutiny anymore. You are under favor. The mountain within you will not crumble. It was carved by eternity itself. You are unshaken, unbreakable, and undeniably chosen. Chosen one. This is where discernment is born. It is the quiet knowing that rises before words, the subtle recognition of what is real and what is illusion. The awakening eye inside you does not grant arrogance, it grants empathy. For to see through heaven's sight is to understand the hidden pain behind another's anger, the buried longing beneath their indifference, the fear concealed in their pride. This new sight is not for judgment, it is for healing. It allows this stream of light to continue flowing, reaching those who stand where you once stood, weary, unseen, but hungry for hope. You see, light doesn't travel alone. It reflects. It multiplies. It passes from one heart to another. When you give, you are not just supporting a voice, you are extending a flame. Somewhere, someone will find peace because you kept the fire alive. And before you move on, take a moment to engage, not out of routine, but out of reflection. Jesus spoke about this mystery in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 22. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, you're full of light. When the inner eye opens, light floods the soul. Clarity replaces confusion. Decisions once clouded by emotion begin to sharpen. You start to sense not only what to do, but when to do it. The pace of heaven becomes the rhythm of your heart. This awakening is not always dramatic. Sometimes it begins with awareness, a growing sensitivity to peace or unease in the spaces you enter. You find yourself discerning energy, tone, and truth without needing explanation. Conversations reveal more than words. Environments whisper motives. Time slows down long enough for you to notice what most overlook. You are learning to see beneath the surface of things, to recognize where heaven breathes and where it withdraws. At first, this sensitivity may feel like burden. You may wish you could unsee what you now perceive. The heaviness of discernment can make you ache for simplicity again. But this awareness is not punishment, it is participation. Heaven does not reveal for curiosity, it reveals for stewardship. What you see is what you are called to heal, pray for, or protect. You will begin to notice how heaven communicates through impressions rather than explanations. A gentle nudge to speak, a quiet restraint telling you not to, the urge to pause before you commit. These are not random thoughts. They are signals from the awakened eye within you. The Spirit teaches you to trust the invisible language of peace. This is how prophets were trained, not through spectacle, but through stillness. They learned to sense God's movement, the way sailors sense wind, shifts before storms. Their survival depended on perception. And now, so does yours. In this season, accuracy matters more than activity. The right insight at the right moment can accomplish more than 1,000 impulsive actions. And yet, spiritual sight is not only for defense, it's for compassion. When you see through divine light, you stop labeling people as enemies and start recognizing them as unhealed souls. Discernment without love becomes suspicion. Discernment with love becomes intercession. You will find yourself praying differently, not to prove you are right, but because your heart aches for what you've seen. There will be moments when this inner vision surprises you. You'll sense something before it happens, or recognize truth without evidence. Don't fear it. You are simply moving in sync with the rhythm of eternity. The same spirit that hovered over creation now hovers within your awareness, teaching you to navigate with spiritual intelligence. This awakening is not reserved for prophets or mystics. It is the inheritance of all who walk closely with God. The longer you live under His gaze, the more your eyes adjust to His light. That is why sin feels heavier now, why deceit feels louder, and why peace feels precious. The awakened eye can no longer tolerate darkness comfortably. You may also notice new clarity about your own path. Old confusion fades. You recognize what drains your light and what strengthens it. You learn when to speak, and when silence is more powerful. Heaven begins to train your vision to identify opportunities hidden inside obstacles. But remember, seeing is not the same as controlling. This sight is given for cooperation, not manipulation. The moment you try to use divine perception for ego, it dims. The eye within you thrives only in humility. Keep it pure by staying close to gratitude, worship, and honesty. Chosen one. Your inner sight is not a lens of superiority, it is a mirror of grace. The more you see, the more you understand how much mercy sustains you too, and from that understanding flows gentleness, patience, and strength. And now, chosen one, the week nears its end, but not its purpose. The gaze that first startled you on day one has not dimmed, it has deepened. You no longer flinch beneath it. You no longer mistake it for scrutiny or pressure. You stand within it now, steady and radiant, as one who understands that being seen by heaven is not a burden, it is a blessing. This is the moment of crowning beneath the watching sky. The journey has brought you from confusion to clarity, from hiding to shining, from fear to faith. Every revelation, every test, every whisper, and every storm has been leading to this, the realization that divine attention is not something you endure, it's something you embody. You have become the reflection of the very eye that watched over you. Heaven does not crown perfection, it crowns perseverance. The moment you try to use divine perception for ego, it dims. The eye within you thrives only in humility. Keep it pure by staying close to gratitude, worship, and honesty. Chosen one. Your inner sight is not a lens of superiority, it is a mirror of grace. The more you see, the more you understand how much mercy sustains you too, and from that understanding flows gentleness, patience, and strength. The Apostle Paul captured this truth in his second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 8. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day, and not only to me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing. Embo, that crown is not a decoration, it is identity. It is heaven's public acknowledgement of what has already been true in secret, that you are a carrier of divine integrity. You have walked through nights of wrestling, mornings of surrender, and days when faith felt like a fragile flame, and yet you never let it die. That is what heaven crowns: endurance that loves, obedience that lasts, trust that refuses to break. This is not a physical crown, though one day it may be exchanged for glory eternal. Here and now, it manifests as peace that cannot be shaken, as wisdom that guides your steps, as grace that spills from your presence into every room you enter. It is the quiet authority of one who has been through fire and still chooses gentleness. The watching sky above you is not silent. It hums with recognition. Every battle you fought in private, every act of forgiveness no one saw, every moment you chose to keep believing, all of it is being acknowledged in the heavens. You are surrounded by witnesses who understand the cost of obedience. The unseen realm celebrates you, not because you won easily, but because you refused to quit when losing seemed simpler. Crowning is not the end of battle, it is the beginning of influence. You are being entrusted with more now, not less. The favor on your life is not ornamental, it is functional. Crowns are not worn for display, they are worn for service. To rule in the Spirit means to serve in humility, to lead without arrogance, to love without limits. The crown of righteousness is not made of gold, it is made of choices. Every time you choose faith over fear, compassion over bitterness, surrender over control, another jewel is set in place. Heaven's craftsmanship is slow but sure, and your crown shines brighter with each act of obedience. As you stand under the open gaze of heaven, take a moment to notice how light now moves differently around you. It no longer stops at your surface, it flows through you. You have become translucent to glory. The watcher's gaze has transformed you into a reflection of itself. Pure attention, pure love, pure alignment. You carry something now that you didn't before, an awareness that can never be unlearned. You walk knowing that heaven sees you and moves with you. Fear has lost its power because you finally understand you were never invisible, and you were never unprotected. Chosen one. Your crown is not a reward for effort. It is the evidence of identity. It is heaven's way of saying, you have become who you were meant to be. The battles no longer define you, the light does. The gaze that once felt external now burns quietly within your chest. A living reminder that you and heaven are forever intertwined. So, lift your head, not in pride, but in peace. The week that began with divine attention ends with divine alignment. You are not just seen, you are sent. The eye of heaven rests not only above you now, but also within you, guiding your sight, your words, your way. The powerful eye that fixed upon you has completed its work for this season. You stand beneath it crowned, covered, and complete, ready for whatever new horizon heaven chooses to unveil. Chosen one. If these words have found their way into your spirit, it means heaven's message has completed its journey for now. You have walked through every revelation, every silence, every refining flame, and you have stood beneath the gaze of God without fear. That in itself is a miracle. You are no longer the one searching for light. You are the light. Before you go, pause for a moment. Breathe. Let gratitude rise from within you, like incense. If something in this message spoke directly to your heart, if even one line reminded you that you are seen, covered, and called, then don't let the moment pass quietly. Like this message, to keep its flame visible. Share it so another weary soul might remember that heaven still watches with love. Comment your reflection below. Your words might be the very reminder someone else needs tonight. And if you haven't already, subscribe to stay within this growing circle of light, this sanctuary of words, faith, and awakening. Together, we keep the flame alive. Together, we remind the world that being chosen is not a title, it's a testimony. You are seen, you are crowned, you are loved,